What if staying silent could unlock deeper truths than any question? Imagine a moment where a pause speaks louder than words, creating connection or clarity where words might fail. Welcome to The Art of Asking, the podcast where we explore the extraordinary power of questions and, today, the quiet strength of silence. I'm Emily Carter, your host, and I'm so excited to share this journey with you. After diving into how questions transform lives, love, and careers, we're taking a thoughtful turn with a topic that's just as vital: when to stay silent instead of asking. By the end of this episode, you'll learn a simple practice used by leaders like Nelson Mandela and Oprah Winfrey to foster trust and understanding, and it's easier than you think. Joining us is Dr. Sophia Bennett, a negotiation and communication expert who's helped countless leaders master the balance of speaking and silence. Dr. Bennett, thank you for being here on The Art of Asking.
Thank you, Emily. I'm thrilled to be here. Questions are powerful, but silence has a quiet magic. It can deepen understanding, build trust, and even shift outcomes. I can't wait to dive in.
Your perspective is already so captivating. Dr. Bennett, let's start with a story. Can you share a time when choosing silence over a question made a profound difference?
I'd love to, Emily. Let me take you back 6 years to a high-stakes negotiation in Geneva. 2 companies were merging, but the room was tense. Egos clashed, and one executive was dominating, dismissing others' ideas. I wanted to ask, "Why are you so resistant?" to dig into his stance, but the air felt charged. Instead, I chose silence, letting the room breathe. After a long pause, he softened and admitted he feared for his team's future post-merger. That silence gave him space to reflect and share a truth he might have deflected. It shifted the discussion toward collaboration, and the deal moved forward. That moment taught me that silence can be a catalyst, creating room for honesty. It reminds me of Nelson Mandela's approach during South Africa's Truth and Reconciliation Commission. Alongside Desmond Tutu, he'd often stay silent after hearing testimonies, letting victims and perpetrators process their pain. His pause honored their stories, fostering healing in a way questions couldn't. Silence, when chosen wisely, can be as powerful as the most thoughtful question.
That Geneva negotiation and Mandela's approach are so moving. Why is silence sometimes more powerful than asking, especially for understanding or connection?
That's the heart of it, Emily. Silence is powerful because it creates space. Space for reflection, for emotions to settle, for truths to emerge. Questions, even well-meaning ones, can steer a conversation, sometimes pressuring a response. Silence is like an open field. It invites without demanding, letting people share at their own pace. In emotional or complex moments, silence signals presence and respect. It says, "I'm here fully with you without judgment." That can be more comforting than any question. Silence also lets you observe body language, tone, hesitations, which often reveal more than words. It's a canvas for understanding. The Dalai Lama embodies this. In dialogues with world leaders, he's known for pausing, sometimes for a full minute before responding. When meeting conflict mediators, he'd listen to their challenges and stay silent, prompting deeper insights or fears to surface. His silence built trust actively, not passively. Science backs this. A 2019 University of Amsterdam study found that pauses in conversations increase mutual understanding by 20%, as they let the brain process emotions and form authentic responses. I saw this with my friend Maria grieving a loss. I wanted to ask, "How are you holding up?" But it felt intrusive. I sat quietly instead, and after a few minutes, she shared memories of her loved one, strengthening our bond. That silence was a gift. Silence can also be strategic. In negotiations, pausing after someone speaks can prompt them to reveal more. I've coached executives who've used this to secure better deals. Staying quiet after a proposal, letting the other side fill the silence with concessions. Silence isn't just restraint. It's a tool for connection, clarity, and influence. Later, I'll share how to spot the perfect moment for silence.
The image of silence as an open field is so vivid. How can we recognize when silence is the better choice over asking a question?
Recognizing when to choose silence is like reading a subtle rhythm, Emily. It's about tuning into emotional and contextual cues. Silence fits when emotions are raw, when someone needs time to think, or when a question might disrupt more than it reveals. It's about trusting your instincts and the moment. One cue is emotional intensity. If someone's upset, angry, or overwhelmed, a question can feel like pressure. Silence gives them room to breathe. I learned this mediating a family dispute in Toronto. A sister was furious, venting about her brother. I wanted to ask, what started this rift? But her clenched fist signaled she wasn't ready. I stayed quiet, and after a pause, she shared a childhood memory that explained her pain, opening a path to reconciliation. Hesitation or discomfort is another cue. If someone pauses or avoids eye contact, they may need space to gather thoughts. Asking could make them retreat. Maya Angelou was a master here. In friendships, she'd notice guarded moments and choose silence, offering a smile. Often, her friends would then share a worry or joy. Her restraint showed silence as an invitation. Context is key too. In high-stakes settings like negotiations or meetings, silence can be strategic. If someone seems uncertain or eager, a pause can prompt them to clarify or offer more. I coached a client, David, a startup founder pitching investors. He wanted to ask, "What do you think?" post-pitch, but I advised silence. His pause led an investor to share excitement unprompted, sparking a deal. Your intuition guides you too. If a question feels forced, trust that instinct to hold back. Angela Merkel used this in EU summits. When debates heated up, she'd listen silently, observing reactions before speaking. Her restraint earned respect as a leader who let moments breathe. A 2020 Stanford study found that intuitive pauses increase perceived empathy by 25%. That's the art: reading the room, sensing the flow, and choosing silence when it serves best. What would happen if you paused in your next conversation? Coming up, I'll share how to make silence a powerful tool.
David's pitch and Merkel's summits make this so clear. What practical steps can we take to use silence effectively instead of asking?
This is where it gets practical, Emily, because silence is a skill we can all master. It's about seeing silence as an active choice, not a void, and using it with intention to deepen connections or influence outcomes. Start with mindful presence. When you're tempted to ask a question, take a breath and notice the moment, tone, posture, energy. This helps you decide if silence is better. I saw this with a client, Rachel, a manager whose team wasn't opening up in meetings. I suggested pausing after someone spoke. In one meeting, after a quiet team member shared an idea, Rachel stayed silent. The colleague added a brilliant suggestion, boosting the team's plan. That pause showed trust, encouraging participation. Embrace discomfort with silence. We often rush to fill pauses, but they're where breakthroughs happen. Train yourself to wait a few seconds longer than feels natural. I coached a lawyer, Sam, negotiating a contract. He'd ask about terms, then pause even if it felt awkward. Once, his silence prompted a better deal, unprompted. A 2018 MIT study found that strategic pauses in negotiations increase concessions by 15%. Oprah Winfrey's interviews show this beautifully. When she spoke with Desmond Tutu about forgiveness, she'd ask, "What does reconciliation mean to you?" Then let silence linger. Tutu's thoughtful responses after pauses touched millions. We can borrow that patience, letting silence draw out deeper truths. Use silence to reflect before responding. If someone shares something heavy, pause to process rather than ask more. I did this with a friend, Claire, stressed about a job change. Instead of asking, "What's next?" I nodded quietly. She shared her fear of losing purpose, and our talk deepened our trust. Observe and adapt. If silence encourages sharing, stay with it. If it feels uneasy, shift to a gentle question. These steps, presence, embracing pauses, reflecting, adapting, make silence a powerful complement to asking. What could a single pause do for your next conversation?
Rachel's team and Oprah's moment with Tutu are so inspiring. How can we use silence in challenging situations, like tense negotiations or emotional conversations?
Challenging situations are where silence shines, Emily, if used with care. In tense negotiations or emotional conversations, silence can de-escalate, build trust, and uncover solutions, but it needs sensitivity and strategy. In Singapore, I mediated a labor dispute between a company and workers. The room was charged, union reps angry, management defensive. I wanted to ask, "What's the core issue?" but the hostility suggested questions might escalate. I paused, letting everyone sit with their thoughts. After a long silence, a union leader admitted they wanted job security assurances. That opened a constructive dialogue, leading to a fair agreement. Silence created space for honesty. The Dalai Lama's peace talks are a global example. He'd listen to grievances, then pause, often for minutes. Those silences signaled respect, encouraging reflection. One negotiator said the pauses helped them see the other side's humanity, easing tensions. Silence in tough moments fosters empathy. For practical tips, use silence to calm emotions. If someone's upset, resist asking for details right away. A pause lowers defenses. I used this with a colleague, Tom, frustrated after a project setback. Instead of asking, "What went wrong?" I stayed quiet. He shared his worry about looking incompetent and we worked through it. That silence built trust. In negotiations, silence is strategic. After an offer, pause before responding. It signals confidence and can prompt better terms. I coached a client, Lisa, discussing a job offer. After the salary was presented, she paused, resisting asking, "Is that negotiable?" Her silence led to a higher offer. A 2021 Harvard study found that pauses after offers increased deal favorability by 18%. Be mindful of intent. Silence should come from care or strategy, not avoidance, or it risks seeming manipulative. Silence in tough moments creates possibility, understanding, collaboration, progress. Stay tuned, because I'll share a daily practice to make silence second nature.
Lisa's negotiation and the Dalai Lama's pauses are so powerful. For listeners ready to embrace silence, what's a simple way to start?
This is my favorite part, Emily, because it's so simple yet transformative. I call it the pause with purpose. Each day in one conversation with a friend, colleague, or family member, notice a moment where you'd ask a question and instead choose silence. Maybe it's after someone shares a thought or shows emotion. Pause for a few seconds, stay present, and observe what happens. Try this for a week and you'll see connections deepen. I started this years ago with a neighbor, Paul, who mentioned a tough work week. I wanted to ask, "What happened?" But I paused, nodding. He shared a worry about work-life balance, sparking a meaningful talk that strengthened our friendship. That silence was a bridge. Maya Angelou's approach inspires here. She'd sit quietly with loved ones, letting them choose when to speak. Her silence invited stories that deepen relationships, and we can borrow that wisdom. Science supports this. A 2022 Stanford study found that intentional pauses in daily conversations increase feelings of trust by 30%. Make it a group activity. At a team meeting or family dinner, agree to pause after someone speaks. I tried this with my team, and after a colleague shared an idea, our silence led her to add a brilliant follow-up. Silence unlocks hidden insights. What could one pause a day do for your relationships? This practice is simple. Pause with intention, listen with care, and watch moments transform. Before we close, I'll share one final pause to spark connection today.
That pause with purpose is so inviting. I'm ready to try it. Dr. Bennett, what's that final pause for our listeners?
Here it is, Emily. What's one moment this week where you could choose silence to truly hear someone? That pause could deepen a friendship, calm a conflict, or unlock a truth. Choose it with courage, stay present, and let it weave stronger bonds.
Dr. Bennett, you've shown us the quiet power of silence, and I know our listeners are inspired to pause with purpose. Thank you for this beautiful conversation. Listeners, what moment will you choose for silence this week? Try Dr. Bennett's pause with purpose. Pause once a day, listen deeply, and watch your connections grow. If this episode inspired you, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss our next dive into the art of asking. We've got more tools coming for creativity, leadership, and beyond. Share this with a friend or colleague who'd love to embrace silence, and let us know your stories on social media. We'd love to hear them. I'm Emily Carter, and I'll see you next time. Keep asking, keep listening, keep pausing with purpose.